not knowing that my own parents would kidnap me. I was 13 when I first experienced depression. I had nightmares every night, nightmares that I was falling endlessly. When I told my mother, laying in bed next to her at night, she got out of bed and she switched on the light. "How can you have depression?" she screamed angrily. "What have we done to you? हमने तुझ पे कौन सा अत्याचार कर दिया?" I didn't have the words then, words like emotional and physical abuse. So I kept quiet, because in my experience, opinions amounted to disrespect. Last month, at the age of 23, when I was taken against my will from Mumbai to a mental institution in Hisar, Haryana, I realized that nothing had changed. Opinions were still a form of disrespect, and depression was still a sign that you had failed. When I was crumbling under the weight of a struggling startup, a failing friendship, writing assignments, and a half renovated house, I had called my mother to my rescue, not knowing that my own parents would kidnap me. I was admitted to that mental institution because I had failed. I had failed to handle the situations life threw in my way. I had failed in my pursuit of convincing them that the work I was doing was important and valuable. The work I was doing centered around talking, having conversations on subjects that were difficult. The work that I was doing involved activism about bodies, about pleasure, about masturbation, about LGBT rights. All of these things are seen as wrong and immoral. My parents were, above all, they were scared for me. They were scared what would the world think. They wanted to put me in a situation and force me not only to get better, but to refocus my priorities and go walking on the right path in life. And what better way to send a child walking on the right path than to give them a good old dose of culture? I could still talk about sexuality, of course, if I wanted to. As long as my talking about sexuality did not have anything to do with bodies, did not have anything to do with pleasure. As long as sexuality is existing in this realm of spiritual energy, channelized through meditation, it was apparently acceptable. This is nothing wrong, my psychiatrist said. But every time he paused before the word sex, I could see that cringe, that discomfort which was betrayed by his entire body. I was punished. I was punished because I used my face to talk about issues that aren't supposed to exist. I was punished because I declared that women's bodies can experience pleasure, that being gay is okay, and that orgasms are something that women deserve. I was punished because by extension the world now knew that I too am a sexual being. And in our culture, women can only be either sexless virgins or dirty whores. There's absolutely no in between. I was punished because it made my parents uncomfortable to see me sharing space with men who owned their femininity, and there was something fundamentally wrong with someone who is a man and owns his femininity. I was punished because opinions were disrespect, depression is a failure, and pleasure is still a crime. We don't talk about it in this country. We talk about our mental health issues by firing from the shoulder of a friend. We say, मेरे दोस्त को ये परेशानी है. We blush, we gasp, we giggle, but we never confront the elephants in the room. But maybe, just maybe, if every single one of us talked about our bodies, our struggles, our kinks, then no one would have to be punished. If every single one of us said मुझे instead of मेरे दोस्त को, no one would have to be punished. If we stopped laughing along uncomfortably at Uncle Sharma's homophobic joke, we would finally confront these elephants in the room. And maybe if all of us stood together and started talking out loud, we could finally liberate sexuality in this culture of silence.